He's the Hall of Fame coach, NBC Football Night in America, joining us on the program. Good to see you again, Tony. Let me start there. When did we start to speed up the process of when we evaluate a quarterback, whether he can be your franchise quarterback or not?
Well, I think it really has been in the last 10 years, maybe since I left, because I know that was a situation where you drafted a guy and you had to see. I went to Tampa in 1996. Trent Dilfer had been there 2 years. And Rich McKay, part of the deal was, hey, we've got to see if this number 6 pick in the draft can pan out. So you aren't going to be evaluated until we find that out. You're not going to be evaluated as a coach, but we've got to find out. And that was our game plan for 2 years. And it seems like we have left that. If I get a chance to pick another guy, and this guy is a more solid franchise quarterback, let's go. You have to have a quarterback to win. There's no question about that. But some of these guys need some time, Dan, to progress.
But have you seen enough of Daniel Jones?
No, I haven't, because I see sometimes, like last night, where, gosh, you missed a couple of easy touchdown passes. You end up throwing interceptions when we had everything set up. But then I saw some other games I saw last year. He played a beautiful game against the Bucs and beat them. So you're going to have a little bit of that. Peyton Manning was, I think, 4 years in the league when we got there to Indianapolis, and he had a 500 record. So let's not say that, in 2 years you're going to see everything you need to see.
That play at the end of the game, the call on the field, and then they picked up the flag. What would you have done?
I don't like that, because John Perry said, well, pass interference has to be clear and obvious. Well, the official knew that when he threw the flag. He knows the rule for pass interference. So I have to see clear and obvious before I throw the flag. I throw it, and then someone else tells you, no, that's not really clear and obvious. The offensive pass interference on Toilolo was the same thing. Was that clear and obvious? No, we had a conversation about that. Same thing happened in the Green Bay, Minnesota game. They picked up a flag that was clearly pass interference. It was thrown, and then somehow the flag gets picked up. So, no, I don't like those.
It feels like when in doubt, throw the flag, and then let the home office of the NFL officials get in touch with you and say, you know what, pick the flag up, or no, that is pass interference. As a coach, do you have a problem if the officials on the field are probably not making the final decision on some of these calls?
I don't have a problem if it goes that way the whole time. If that's our system, let's do that. But the 2 bogus holding penalties that they had earlier in the game, letting the home office look at that and say, hey, you know what? That really wasn't holding. If we're going to do that on everything, great. But don't just do it on the last play of the game when 5 other plays could have made a difference as well. So if we're going to do it, let's do it all the time.
What kind of questions remain for the Buccaneers and Brady?
I think it's a matter of timing and just consistency and building that. You see, Tom looks so much more comfortable. He's got a better connection. My question is, we saw how long it took with Gronk. Gronk took a year off. And the first part of the season, what was everybody saying? Oh, Gronk's not the same. Tom doesn't have that with him. And now we're seeing that connection after 8 or 9 weeks. Antonio Brown has been off how many years? A year and a half? Now, how long is it going to take to get that connection with him? And everybody says, oh, yeah, he looks great and he's in shape. But Tom Brady is going to need to see him come out of routes. How is he going to run this route against this? What are we going to do? And so is it going to take another 6 weeks to get adjusted to Antonio Brown? I think they've got a great team right now. And I hope this kind of experiment with Antonio doesn't set that back a little bit.
Would you have brought him in?
I probably wouldn't have, because I would have wanted to hear some contrition first. I'm sorry, and I'm different now, and I've changed. I believe in second chances. You know that, Dan. But I also believe people need to repent and say, you know what, I was wrong. So, yeah, what I did in New England, what I did in Oakland, what I did in Pittsburgh, that was wrong. What I've done, and I've been out. I've missed the game, and I want to come back, and I'm going to change. If I hear that, then I'm all for it. But I haven't heard that yet.
What team are you all in on right now?
Nobody. I think everybody has some issues. Rodney Harrison and I had this debate on Sunday night. Oh, Kansas City, they're the team to beat. Well, Kansas City has some defensive issues as well. I love their offense and where they're going, but I see some of those things creep up. And Pittsburgh, is undefeated, but we see leads being blown. I saw coverages where I couldn't understand what was happening. Nobody's around Willie Snead. And so that's not great. But then you see the plays that they make to make things happen. So yeah, they've got a lot of talented guys. I love their receiving core now. I love Ben being in control, but they've got some issues. So I think that's just where we are. Fundamental football, time management, all those things we've lost that dealing with this pandemic and not practicing. So I think somebody's going to emerge here in the next few weeks. But we're still in that discovery phase, I think.
He's the Hall of Fame coach, Tony Dungy, on loan from NBC Football Night in America. It feels like the game is all about offense. You can't have too much offense. The Seahawks wanting to get more offense in there. Kansas City using their draft pick to get more offense in there. Is that where we are right now in the NFL? That, can you build a defensive-minded team that is a Super Bowl contender?
I don't think in this salary cap era and the way you have to do it, there's not going to be a Legion of Boom that leads a team to a championship with defensive play. You're going to have some good defenders. You're going to have a defense that helps you win, but you got to have a quarterback. You got to have an offense that can score. And I think if I were coaching now, I would go down that road. Hey, I want Antonio Brown to add to my 3 other playmaking receivers, because the more I can score, the better off we're going to be. The rules say that. Everything lends itself to that. And when you have to decide how to spend your money, who you're going to pay, you need to pay those offensive guys, no doubt.
But when you had Peyton, did Peyton always want you to draft an offensive player?
No, not necessarily, but we did. That's one of the things Bill Polian told me. We're always going to feed the monster. So you got on defense, you got to make it work. We got to get guys like Robert Mathis in the 4th round who are great players, but it comes down the line. In the 1st round, I remember, there was a mock draft and everybody's saying my second year there, we got to go defense. And Bill said, hey, Dallas Clark is going to help us win championships. We got to take him. We were number 27, 26 on defense, and we fed the monster. And Joseph Adai, and we kept doing that, and we got enough offensive guys. We had to find the defensive guys, and we got some guys kind of under the radar, but offense was going to win it for us. And I think we're even farther along in that now in this era.
What would you do with Jimmy Garoppolo if you're the 49ers?
I think I would stay with him. And he's played some games where, that stretch last year when they're as good as anybody in football. When they run the football and when they're playing defense, Jimmy Garoppolo is very good. And there's a lot of quarterbacks like that. So I've got one that I know can take me to a Super Bowl. I think I would stay with it. But you've got to have that core around him, no doubt.
But if you're Bill Belichick, would you at least inquire about trading Garoppolo back to New England?
No, because I think when you let him go, that told me something right there. If I thought Jimmy Garoppolo was the next Tom Brady, I'm not letting him go, no matter what anybody says or what happens. So that gave me a little buyer beware when they let him go. New England doesn't let good players just go for free. Hey, I'm going to do you a favor, San Francisco. Here's a really great quarterback. Good luck. No, he had some concerns, and I don't know what those were, but I think that ship has sailed.
Well, I don't think Tom wanted the competition there.
I don't know about that. Even if that's true, Bill Belichick doesn't care about people's feelings. Okay. There's a lot of people that had suggestions for how they should do things, and Belichick is going to do it his way. And if he really thought, we'll make this work, Tom, if Jimmy Garoppolo is the heir apparent, he's the next guy. You're 40 years old. And I know that you've been with me and we've won all these Super Bowls, but this guy can get me to 5 more Super Bowls in the next 10 years. I think your feelings are going to have to get hurt, Tom.
How long do you stay with Cam Newton?
I think you ride it out this year. You built this around a running attack and all of those things. And this is the way you can win. Maybe you can turn it around and get it going. If not, you're not going to be able to go to Jarrett Stidham and all of a sudden turn this into a drop back.
But don't you need to find out if he can play, Tone, or do you think Belichick knows what he has in Jarrett Stidham?
I think he kind of understands that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone out to get Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that again, when you made that move, that told me, yeah, I like Jared Stidham, but I'm not sold on him yet.
And you had Edgerrin James, who's a Hall of Famer, but I wonder about that position as we move forward. You have to be pretty much a guy who can run, but also catch the ball out of the backfield. Where do you place your priorities on your running back in the draft?
I think you look at what people have done. Look at San Francisco. If they can put Deebo Samuel back there and make yards and run the ball well, and you look at Kansas City, and gosh, we thought, oh, LaShawn McCoy, and then he kind of got nicked up, and Damian Williams went in there, and now he's opted out. And what are we going to do? Oh, we'll draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And we kind of went through that with Edgerrin. Bill Poland came to me. I'll never forget it, Dan. He said, we can pay Edgerrin. He deserves it. He's a great player. He's been the heart and soul of us. But if we sign him to what he is going to command, we're not going to be able to re-sign Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark and Dwight Freeney. So the better way to go would be to let Edgerrin go. We'll draft a young running back. We'll get them at the rookie rate, and we're going to get Maurice Jones-Drew or Joseph Adai. And that's exactly what happened. So, I think that's the way you go down the road. You say, hey, if I'm Kansas City, yeah, I'd love to have that great back, but you know what? I'll get one. I'll get one in the draft.
Would you trade for J.J. Watt? Would you trade him if you're the Texans?
I might think about it now, depending on what I could get, because my season and next year is going to be a rebuilding year, and I don't have high draft choices. So as painful as it would be, and you're giving up a big-time playmaker, to recoup some of that and to be able to build my offense, I might have to think about it.
I don't know what he's worth. Like a second, maybe a third-round pick? Do you even get that for J.J. Watt?
You might get a second. And somebody like Seattle, now they got Carlos Dunlap, but if J.J. Watt were dangling out there and you thought, man, I can get to the Super Bowl, that one guy who can rush the passer, maybe get that one sack in the NFC Championship game that I need, you'd think about that. We did that, Booger McFarland. We needed a run-stopping nose tackle. We had a lot of injuries up front, and we said, hey, second-round pick, I know Booger, he can fit in the system, and he played great for us and helped us win a Super Bowl. Was it worth the second-rounder? You bet it was.
Great to talk to you again. Hope things are well with the family there, and my best to everybody on Football Night in America.
All right. Sounds good, DP. Always great to talk to you.
That's Tony Dungy, Hall of Fame head coach.